So far, I really think this trade is going to pay big dividends for this team.
Yeah. And then numero uno, of course, the reason why the Pirates probably will never, ever pick up the phone from a Rays front office member.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, that was unfortunate again for the Tampa Bay Rays as they lose to the Boston Red Sox by a score of 5-2 as the Rays blow it up in the later innings.
8th inning, 2-2. And then the wheels come off. Jason Adam is on the mound. Then 2 runs, so 4-2. And then in the 9th, Erasmo does an Erasmo thing and solo home run. So it ends 5-2. Not a fun game if you're a Rays fan, especially there was a play there in the 8th. There are 2 outs. There's a double steal in the move. Devers is on first. He tries to go to steal second. The runner from third is running home. Rordvet throws to second. Belau fields it a little bit in front of the bag. Devers stops on his motion to go to second, standing up like a few feet away from second. Belau chooses to throw home without even a second thought to look at Devers and tag him out for the 3rd out. Throws home. Rordvet does not get enough time to tag the runner. 4-2. What the bleeping bleep was that?
So you're suggesting that may have been a mistake made by a rookie and not a however many years Belau has been in the league, not counting all his injuries, 6, 7, 8 years, give or take. I'm going to blame it on the speed of the game. He's still getting used to that major league heightened play coming back from Durham, his rehab assignment.
I think you're 100% right. I think the game sped up on him. And it's a shame because, like you're saying, he's a veteran of what? 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 7 seasons. Wow. 7 seasons in the big leagues, and he got taken there by Devers and company, which it's really a shame to have that game end like that.
Well, good thing we have a mailbag episode today and tomorrow to wash the stink off of what's been the last little bit here for your Tampa Bay Rays. Speaking of Brandon Lau, our first comment here, we have a lot of them to get through over the next couple of days. Samuel Bonici, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Samuel says, "What's up, guys? Got to watch Brandon finish his rehab stint in Charlotte this weekend. Cool seeing him, Boz, Curtis, and Junior hanging out in the dugout." Yeah, I would say if there's, one silver lining of major leaguers, established major leaguers, all-stars getting injured, it's the rehab assignments in the groundswell of participating in minor league baseball. And it elevates the Durham Bulls fan base a little bit and gets them focusing and tuning into what the Rays are doing. A lot of minor league teams actually build promotions around a guy's rehab assignment. Not too long ago, the Tampa Tarpons were hyping up Jason Dominguez, playing a couple games for them. But there's also the element of, I hope that Brandon Lau, the Rays, and other established players do this when they go to the minor leagues. They answer questions and try to lean on their experience with the younger players and explain to them what it takes to get to the big leagues and what it takes to stay in the big league, so to speak.
Oh, 100%. I think it's fantastic when they're able to do that. And I know you have a pretty well-known team in the Durham Bulls. For God's sake, they have a movie. Not a lot of other teams can say that. But anytime that you can get some kind of promotional going, and it's fantastic. And it's really cool that, like he said, Samuel, Curtis and Caminero and Brandon just hanging out. That's awesome. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on to the meat of our mailbag questions here. This one from our good buddy OG listener, Ty McCann. He says, mailbag question: how would you rank the following trades involving a Rays ace pitcher in terms of value received? Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, James Shields, Chris Archer, and David Price.
Ty, as always, tremendous question. I think we might have to go.
He makes us think. His mailbag questions almost make us dedicate an entire episode to said inquiry.
Honestly, this is definitely going 2 segments. So buckle up, people. I can easily say that the worst trade out of all of these pitchers, Blake Snell. It's just hands down. Like, give me one awesome thing that the Snell trade gave you. Nothing.
I mean, outside of a couple years of Francisco Mejia in the big leagues, that's really all that's to show for it. Of course, also in the deal was Cole Wilcox. Haven't seen or heard anything from him. Blake Hunt, he's moved on to another organization. Friend of the program, hope he has a lot of success. Luis Patino totally blustered and blundered when he got his chance or multiple chances with the Rays. And I will say this, at the time, it seemed like a pretty darn good haul because I believe all 4 of those guys were top 100 prospects, but it goes back to your overarching point, which you emphasize. Prospects are most likely and oftentimes lottery tickets, and you can't bet on many, if any of them, to pan out.
Yeah. And Patino, El Eléctrico, he's in Tommy John. So he's out. So I feel like when you talk about all of these pitching trades, Glasnow, Snell, Shields, Archer, Price, out of these 5, I think if anybody says that Snell isn't the worst trade out of all these particular trades, I think they're just fooling themselves. It's by far the worst one because out of all of the other 4, they're all pretty darn good.
Yeah. You at least got some positive WAR, or at least we hope will be some positive WAR out of those other guys. So if we're going from 5 to 1, your number 4 is who?
I think my number 4 would be Shields.
Okay.
Because look, Will Myers was a rookie of the year, and then the 2014 was a little bit of a dud. Jake Odorizzi was, stable guy for the rotation.
Yes.
I think that even though it's number 4, I think it's miles above the Snell trade for sure. I mean, you got a guy who could have been a really good franchise player. He ended up being a solid major league hitter. Will Myers did with San Diego. So also a 10-year career, if I'm not mistaken, for Will Myers.
Yeah.
Jake Odorizzi, kind of same thing. Almost had a return with the Rays this season. So I think this one is number 4 for me. You have got to use Price Picks. I mean, it's the time to do it. NBA playoffs are on. I know Kevin's excited. Kevin, you're a big basketball guy. Are you not excited?
Oh, yeah. I am ecstatic that my Indiana Pacers, not a bandwagon fan here, they're going to win the whole dang shebang.
And if they do, guess what? Hem and Trisha Whitaker are going to be so gosh darn happy. And you can be happy too if you use Price Picks today. So download the app, use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100, or what we call a Benjamin. I will say it again. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. Download Price Picks today.
Now, the other rub in this is the Royals did acquire Wade Davis in the deal, if I recall.
Yeah.
And the other names that were involved, left-hander Mike Montgomery and third baseman Patrick Leonard, who both of those I don't think did anything of note. But you're right on the sense that you trade James Shields in Wade Davis, and you, if Will Myers stuck around, you would have had 2 pension players part of your program, basically.
Yeah.
Now, I actually have the Shields trade number 3.
Who's your number 4?
So my number 4 is the David Price trade.
Okay.
And if we look at the David Price trade, man, that was a long time ago. Can you believe it? A decade ago.
Yeah.
Already, where the Rays sent him. It was actually a 3-team deal. I don't know if we want to get into all the nitty-gritty, but the Rays acquired Drew Smiley and Willie Adames, and I believe Nick Franklin also landed with the Rays. And again, not a bad trade. I think it worked out for the Rays, but my thought process is David Price, the time he was traded was peak David Price. He had made 3 consecutive All-Star appearances. He had won a Cy Young a couple years before that. I just felt that you could have gotten a greater haul, even though I think he was nearing free agency. So that's really the only point of contention I have with that. It's funny that the rankings I have of 5 and 4 respectively are the 2 guys that won Cy Youngs in a Rays uniform. So my expectations are so much greater because of the type of player that those 2 individuals were. But not a bad deal by any means. It's just at the time I wanted more punch for it.
Which kind of, I like that you mentioned the Cy Young aspect of it, because then it makes it much more difficult to get value, even if it's a guy from Cy Young caliber. Sometimes they're just going to, prospects, you never know what they're going to be. So it's funny because that was my number 3. My number 3 was David Price. So we just have them flipped. They're 3 and 4.
Now, I think the number 2, we can agree on this. There's still a waiting game involved, but what we've seen thus far looks pretty dandy. I assume you also have Tyler Glasnow as your number 2.
That's correct. Tyler Glasnow is correct, because you get rid of the 10 mil by Margot. I know you still have to pay some of it to LA, and then he actually gets traded like 3 days later or 3 weeks later, whatever it was.
Yeah, the Dodgers didn't want anything to do with Manny Margot.
No.
It was, we're taking the money off your hands, I guess temporarily, just so we can get the big ticket item in Tyler Glasnow. Like that's pocket change for us. He's a body that we don't want. But that's okay because we're getting Glasnow and we're going to extend him to a $130, $140 million contract. And he's going to be our ace or close to ace in the hole. And we're going to try to win a couple rings.
And he might win the Cy Young this year. So there's that. The value you've gotten so far by getting a starter like Ryan Pepiot and a hopefully soon to be starting center fielder in Johnny DeLuca, you have made yourself stronger with this trade. With all of the other trades that we've talked about, you had to wait a lot for the David Price trade to get Willie Adames, and then that's only one player. Snell trade never really matriculated except for a few innings of Patino with a 5 ERA, or Frankie Mejia doing good things, but good things in a one WAR kind of.
If he was really that good, the Rays would have kept him around, and they wouldn't be playing this game of, do we go with Rene Pinto or Alex Jackson or Pinto, or look outside the organization? They don't want to have to make it that confusing and difficult on them, because it's not like, I don't think Mejia was going to get a crazy amount of money in arbitration or anything like that.
No. So exactly. So imagine that. It wasn't even about the money. It was just like, hey, we can get better production elsewhere. So you look at those things, and compared to this Glasnow trade so far, and again, it's been what, 2 months of playing time. so far, I really think this trade is going to pay big dividends for this team.
Yeah. And then numero uno, of course, the reason why the Pirates probably will never, ever pick up the phone from a Rays front office member, Chris Archer for Tyler Glasnow, the aforementioned, Austin Meadows before he had some mental health issues, and Shane Baz, who we still have high hopes for.
I mean, so let's make that a little bit more sensible for people. One guy, an all-star outfielder. Another guy, a potential Cy Young winner who just signed for $130 million for the LA Dodgers. And a guy who could be a top of the rotation arm for the next 4 to 5 years.
Yes.
That's hands down your best trade out of all of these. Like, there's just, it's like a slam dunk. It's game over. I mean, it's Vince Carter. I mean, it's over. Yeah. This is it. I don't think you could get better than this trade.
No. And I believe you were also, like the other deals, of course, it's about money. They were also able to offload some salary, and they traded Archer at the perfect time because Archer wasn't so much productive for the Pirates and they're on after. At least you could make the argument for some of the other teams that, hey, you're getting David Price in his prime. You're getting a Blake Snell in his prime. You're getting Tyler Glasnow definitely in his prime. James Shields still has a little bit left in the tank, but Chris Archer was donezo, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, the power hierarchy in that trade, it's a seesaw. It's so crazy what they were able to do with that trade. So no, I think this one's by far the best trade, and it's still yet to see what we can get from Shane Baz. I mean, really, Shane Baz has pitched less than 50 innings. So hold on. He's still young, and he can definitely be a top 1, top 2, top 3 rotation arm in a team that's pretty loaded with really good talented arms. That's crazy.
Yep. So Ty, great question there. Speaking of pitching, we have another related question. This from Tim in Philly, of all places. Tim says, good afternoon, guys. Short-time listener, first-time writing in. It has been bothering me a lot this early season, just exactly how crowded things could potentially get for the Rays in the near future. The logjam of players on this team is perhaps unlike any team I've ever rooted for. Starting pitching in 2024 into 2025 is projected, per his writing, at and with Shane McClanahan, Zach Eflin, Aaron Civale, Zach Littell, Taj Bradley, Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen, Shane Baz, Ryan Pepiot. What do we do?
Great question, Tim. I'm glad that you found us and you're enjoying the content. And hopefully you keep doing so. Yeah, we've talked about this, man. The 2025 rotation is insane. Like, that's exactly what you want. I want this problem because we had this talk before the 2023 season when everybody was like, the Rays have the best rotation, and we were like, hey, this is really good, but 5 does not make a rotation. You need 8. You need 9. You need 10. Yeah. What is in the wings? And for 2025, this is really awesome. Like, those names are awesome. Now, there are 2 caveats to all of those names.
Yes. Number
1, Zach Eflin will be making $18 million, and there are already rumors about the Braves wanting him. And
of course, the Braves want every good Rays player available that cost a little bit of money that they can swoop in, and it's nothing to them.
Must be nice.
A penny in a bucket.
Must be nice. So that's the wrinkle number 1. Wrinkle number 2
is $18 million is a lot of coin.
It's a lot of coin, but it does seem, even though Stu said before the season, this is the most we've ever spent, I don't know, it's really going to put a strain on our, pocket purse or whatever. It's not. He's a billionaire. He's fine. it does seem like they are being a little bit more financially flexible. So it wouldn't really shock me if Zach Eflin is paid $18 million next season. Like, it really wouldn't shock me because of what they've done. I mean, Charlie Morton was earning $15 million 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Holy crap, that's disgusting. 5 years ago. Wow. Time flies. 2019. So in that economy, $18 million is should be fine.
Right.
Now, wrinkle number 2, Kev, and we talked about this, I think, a couple episodes ago. Aaron Civale, who are you?
Yeah.
Are you a number 3 starter? Are you a number 5 starter? Are you a bulk guy? Are you a mop-up guy? Who is Aaron Civale? Because right now, it does look like he's a number 5 starter or even a bulk guy.
Right.
The way that he's performing. When the Rays got him, he looked like a for sure number 2.
Passion, drive, and patience. It is the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is returned to you. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Also, eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Yeah. And I think those are 2 great points, because I don't know if you were stealing my notes, but that's pretty much what I had jotted down. One, we say this time and time again, 9 starters isn't even enough, because injuries are going to happen. I guarantee one of these guys is going to have some sort of freak major injury, and we're going to be without him for a period of time. So there's the Eflin situation with the salary. There's the Civale situation with what do you do with him? Do you convert him to a swingman, bulk man, whatever it may be? There's also the option of, look, I know we just talked about Shane Baz, but there might have to be a conversation of, do we convert him into a high leverage reliever? It wouldn't be the first time that a guy who was projected to be a starter turns into a 8th inning, 9th inning arm. So that could be a question that gets hammered out. Also, Zach Littell, maybe, I don't know, you could try to sell high on him if he continues to boost up the performance like he is. And beyond this, look, I haven't checked the prospect rankings or prognostications very much lately, but are there really any other minor leaguers or minor leaguers that are in the high end of the system, AA, AAA, that are knocking on the door? Is there a lot of minor league depth of guys beyond that to step in and play a role?
Because 2 names, right? Montgomery and Jacob Lopez, but
okay.
Ian Seymour also might be knocking on the door maybe next year.
But it's not like we have another Taj Bradley waiting in the wings, another Ryan Pepiot waiting in the wings, another Shane Baz waiting in the wings.
No, this is different level.
We have, right? These 9 guys are who we have as of right now.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. I think injuries are always going to happen. Now, there's a name there that's also very interesting. Drew Rasmussen. When he comes back, he's going to be a 3 TJ guy, is he not?
Maybe that's a reliever candidate.
So maybe that's a reliever candidate. Yeah. And we know that he did amazing in that role. He did amazing as a starter. But maybe that's a way of keeping him healthy. And last but not least, Rasmussen, Baz, Springs, McClanahan. What do they all have in common? They're all coming back from TJ.
Yeah.
So we
limited work.
know they ain't gonna get TJ next year.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Right.
So at least there's 4 guys that are not gonna get TJ next year.
Now, say that everybody's healthy, everybody's available, everybody's on the books. Do you see the Rays ever going to a modified or extended 6-man rotation, or maybe they play the bulk game and the shifting of roles game, or using the occasional phantom IL?
I wouldn't put the phantom IL to. Yeah, I think the phantom IL always plays, except if you're the Mets and you get caught red-handed, which everybody does. But regardless, phantom IL is always playing, and the 6-man rotation interests me a lot because it allows for continuity of play, and the guys are all, in the season high. You don't have to like stop and start or send people down. I think that's great, but it depends on them. It depends on the big horses. Like, you asked your number 1 and number 2, 3, 4, 5. They have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But number 1 and number 2, your McClanahans, your Eflins, your Tosh when he graduates and is a top of the rotation arm. You have to be like, okay, can you guys handle this? But I wouldn't be opposed at all to putting 2 guys together, and that's like your 5th starter. Could it be Springs Rasmussen because they're coming back from injury and you want to put them together? I think that would be a pretty cool lefty righty combo monster for teams to face.
And there's also the possibility of those guys coming back from injury that they're not their former self. Maybe they go off the rails and are not successful in any shape or form. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened throughout baseball. So you could knock 1 or 2 guys off the list right there. Speaking of all that, out of these names in 2025, if you had to bet green Skittles, no, this isn't a FanDuel live raid, although we'll have one. Which guy would you bet to put up the best numbers in terms of WAR, ERA plus, basically overall in terms of innings pitched, ERA, strikeouts, whip, just in totality, who has the best season out of those guys?
It's going to be probably a hot take, but I'm going with Ryan Pepiot.
Okay. Assuming he's durable and more durable than the other guys, and the other guys are on a workload limit.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah, I'm going for a healthy guy in 2024 for this, for that proposition of 2025, because the innings are definitely going to be on his side.
All right. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. We appreciate it. We'll be back with another mailbag episode on Thursday. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.